Okay, this book's nearly finished. 58 at line 11. Praeterea. So, besides, milites, vocative, for the soldiers, non idem. It is not the same. Necessitudo. Plural, it can mean family. It also means necessity and need, and probably relationship. And we have impendent, impendio, takes the dative. So, to nobis and illis, for us and for them, we don't have the same relationship threatening us, you might want to say, or the same circumstances, the same constraints, what the Loeb calls it. For nos, for us, we're fighting for our patria, our fatherland, and for liberty, pro libertate. And curtimus, we are fighting for pro vita, for our lives. But for them, illis, the nobis and illis up there, is supervacuous, so it's superfluous or not needed, to fight, pugnare, and the pro and the ablative, for the potentia, for the power, porcorum of just a few people. 12. Quo. Don't know what that means at the moment. Audacious, so it's a comparative, so this quo is an aut. So that more audaciously or more boldly, gredamini, you will fight. Memor takes the genitive, mindful of your pristine virtutis, of your former valor or virtues. 13. Liquid. Someone can or is available, vobis, for you, to agere your item, to live out your age in exile with summa turpentine, turpitudine, with the utmost disgrace. So it's allowed for you that you can live as an exile for the rest of your life. Non nulle, so some people, some other people maybe, potuist, you are able, Rome, at Rome, amissus bonus, having lost your goods, your possessions, and to expectere, that comes from the infinitive of potuist, you're able to wait for alienus opes, other people to help, or could be foreign help or whatever it's going to be. 14. Quia, because illa foda, this thing seems foul, we have a vitabanter meaning same in the passive, and intolerable, intoleranda, pretty much the same in English, to virus, to man. So these things seem foul and intolerable to men, that is, these choices, living in exile with the utmost turpitude or waiting for other people to come and help, these things seems foul and intoleranda. These things, haec decretavis, you have decided to sequi, to follow. This is a head verb, means you're thinking it, so it takes an infinitive. C means a question. If, voltus, that's Sallust's way of putting an O there. If you want to relinquere these, if you want to leave off these things or do something else, opus est, there's a need for audacia. We saw it up here in the comparative earlier. There's a need for boldness. Nemo, no one, except Anissi, except the victor, would mutivit, would change or exchange bellum for parque. So only a victor would want to change war for peace. 16. Nam, for spirare, to hope for salutem, to hope for safety in flight. Cum arma, when your arms with which quibus you tegatur your corpus. So the arms which you cover your body, you have a vortrus, you've turned away ab hostibus from the enemy. This, in truth, but really this, is dementia. This is madness. So dementia est, madness is to hope for safety in flight. When what you use to protect your body, you've turned away from the enemy, so they can get you from behind. Semper, always, in prolio, in battle, maximum est periculum, the greatest danger is to them, qui who, timent maxume, who fear the most. Audacia, boldness should be had as a muro, as a wall. Boldness acts as a defense, you might want to say. Okay, looks like the quote's continuing. Cum vos considere, so we're not consider you. He's looking at them, milites, vocative again. And when facta vostra, when your deeds, I'm estimating or thinking about your deeds. So he's considering and thinking about them and their deeds. There is a magnus spes of victory. A great hope of victory is tenanting, holding or grasping me. Because he's the first person talking. 19, animus. This is courage or heart or something like that. Your courage, and aetas, your age. Vostra virtus, your virtue. Hortentus me, and encourages me. In praetia, the adverb. Besides, necessitudo, we saw it up here. The necessity which, etiam, which even, facet, makes the timodos, the timid, fortis, brave. Okay, daily dictionary. Impendio we saw earlier, and here we have necessitudo, which we've seen twice, so we might want to make this. The word necessity, need, distress, relationships, friendship, bonds, and intimacy, and in the plural, friends, relative, kindred. You see that there a lot. It's also another synonym, necessitatis, or whatever. Back to the plot. Where were we? 20. Nam, 4, a multitudo hostium. A multitude of hostiums of the enemy. Quiet means able, it's like possum, so ne quiet, they're not able to circumvenerate us, they're not allowed to cut us off or surround us. The angustia loci prohibits this. So the narrowness of the place prohibits this, prohibits the enemy, the multitude of them, from surrounding them. 21. Quad C, usually it's together, can't have a space there. But if, look for nominative here, fortuna. But if fortuna inviderates your virtues, takes the dative here. Invidio can mean begrudge or envy, or to cast an evil eye on. So if fortune's not looking too favourable on your virtues, cavete, imperative plural. Take care, amitis, that you lose your animum, your life. So take care that you don't, I'm guessing, take care that you don't lose your life in ulti, unavenged, nor capti, become captives. Potius usually means rather. Security, as if, pecora, as if a flock animal, that you trucidem amini, that you get cut down just like a flock animal. Potius quam, rather than by the more of vivorum, by the custom of men who are pugnating, fighting, that you relinquish, will go at the end verb. You leave to the hostibus, you leave the enemy, a cruentem and luctuosem victoria, a bloody and mournful sort of victory. So even if you're going to lose, cut down as many enemies as you can. That's basically what he's saying. 59. Haec ubi dixit. These things, when he said them, there was a conmoratus, there was a little delay, paululum, for a little while. And he ubited caenere signa. He ordered the looks like the horns to be blown for the standards, and for the instructos ordinais, and for his drawn up rows of men, he deducatum, he led them in with the accusative into an aequum locum, into a flat bit of ground or a plain. Deins, like deindi, the adverb. So next door then, remotus equus, with the horses remote, horses have been removed, omnium, looks like with all of them. So all the horses have been removed, quo, probably got a comparative, to the militabuses, it looks like, to his soldiers, with an exequato pericle, with an equal danger. Okay, the animus would be amplior, that's the comparative. So that there would be amplior animus, so that there'd be more courage to his soldiers with this equal danger. That's how he drew them up, and he sent the horses away so that now his soldiers would be braver, because danger would be equal. Ipsi himself, pedes, on his feet, something like that. Exercitum, his army he instructs us, so he drew up his army, pro, loco, and copius, according to the location and his forces. So he's making decisions. 2, 4. Nam means 4. 4 utai, looks like as there were planities, that's a fifth declension, as there was a plain or a flat bit of ground that they're on, inter the Sinostros Montes, between the left-handed mountains, so it looks like the mountains to the left, and from the dextra and from the right there was Aspera Rupes. There was a rough crags or something, cliffs. So there's a flat land between mountains to the left and on the right, rocky crags. He constituted, so he drew up in the front, octo cohorts, 8 cohorts. Reliquarum, and of the rest of them, he conlocated them. He placed them artius rather closely in subsidia. So subsidia means it would be auxiliaries. So there's the rest of these standards or many placed rather closely together, and they'd help in some sort of auxiliary manner. Okay, now when it comes to the standards of the rest of them, the Loeb has got a footnote. The standards of the remaining cohorts, 12 in number, since Catilinae had 2 legions, each comprising 10 cohorts. Anyway, abbeys. From these, the centurions, we know what the centurions are. Lectos means chosen, and evocatos means called back. So these are people who had left the army and were called back. Omnis, so centurions and all of those who were recalled in the service, and praetorian, besides from the gregarious, from the common men, from the gregarious militibussus, from the common soldiers, the optumen quemquem. So whoever was optumen, whoever was the best from the common folks, amatum, and he subjugated them. He led them into premier macim, into the front line of the battle lines. So anyone who was really good, basically, so centurions and veterans and whoever the hell was the best of the men, he put them in the primam, in the front. C. Manlium, that C stands for Gaius. If you didn't know, Gaius Manlius was in dextra on the right. Quendam Faesulanum was in the sinistra parte. On the left side was a certain Faestulum, it's some town or city, and he ordered them to curare him into the dextra and him into the sinistra. So he gave orders. Ipsi again, himself, with his libertus and colonists, with his freemen and colonists. Usually when you're dismissed from the army, you get given some land in the area and you become a colonist. Propter, on account of, this looks like this is the old use of propter, and ob, which means up against the Aquila. This is the eagle standard. He was adsistanting, he was standing near the eagle. Quam, which in the Bello Cimbrico, in the Cimbrican War, Marius Dicabato is said, infinitive of the past, to have had in his army. So this is the same standard which in the Cimbrican War Marius is said to have had. Okay. 4. At ex altera parte, but at another part, another side out of the way, Gaius Antonius, and here's his apposition, he was ago, which means he was sick, pedibus, in his feet. Quod, because he was nequabating, he was not able, infinitive, to be there at the battle. He permitted his army, or he committed his army, dative, to his legate, his deputy, Petrius. Let me see, Cassius Dio says that Cassius Dio said he was faking it, so he didn't have to fight. I think that's what is going on about. 5. Illy, he looks like Petrius. Then we have accusative, cohortus veteranus, veteran cohorts being female. Again, quas, which is female, which he had conscripted, enrolled, causa tumulus, for the sake of this fight, or tumulus of the uprising, whatever you want to call it, causes a post-positive, in fronte. So the veteran cohorts he put in front, and post-ES, again female because cohort's female. Behind these, the Catrum exercetum. The rest of his army he located, again, in a subsidiary sort of position for help or auxiliaries. Okay, so that up there was all the bad guys, and on this other part, the other side, is supposedly the good guys. Now, this guy Illy, He himself, Equo, on his horseback, was Sir Cumians. He was going around in a circle, or it wasn't really a circle, he was going around nominans, calling people's names, and he would appellate. He would call each person, cumque, each one person. He would call them out by name, something like that. He would hortatur them, he would encourage them, he would rogat. He would ask them that they memorint, that they remember, say themselves, were contra latrones, actually, contra inerms latrones. They were going against unarmed bandits, pro patria for their fatherland, and pro liberis for their children, and pro their aris for their altars and their focuses, actually, and for their fireplaces or their houses, you might want to say. They were curtareing, they were contesting or fighting for all these pro things. Almost done. 6. Homo militaris. He was a military man. And quad, because Amplius, more than Triginta Enos, more than 30 years. Triginta doesn't decline, so it might look female, but it's actually just indeclinable. He'd been a tribune or a prefect. These were positions. Or legatus, or ambassador or deputy, or a praetor. So there's 4 Roman positions he'd held, with magna gloria, with great glories, furat in exercitu. He'd been in the army for 30 years and held all these positions with great glory. And ipsos, looks like his people, plerosque, most of them, noverat. He knew eorum of their facta and fortia. He knew of their deeds and their bravery. And by commemorandering these things, he ascendabat. He got them kindled or burning. The animos, the minds militum of his soldiers were inflamed or getting revved up.